talk about it right now. We are at AT&T. I'm partying with Cowboys Nation.
What is up? Welcome to another edition of Tag Nation. It's your boy Mike Tag. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm in the Cowboys cave. We're getting things started. You see, I'm solo. Late night, probably some say past my bedtime, but the season's getting closer, so I'm starting to get in the mood. So the hype is very close and very happening. So if you're new to the show, make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment. If you're checking it out live, definitely love interacting. If you're checking it out later, leave a comment. Let me know what you like. Let me know your questions, and we'll see if we can get this thing rolling. But I wanted to, my partner in crime is he's at a concert, so he couldn't make it. So when I take the show over, it's all Cowboys. So this is what I call my opportunity to kind of give my State of the Union of how I'm feeling about the Cowboys. Training camp's getting close. I got the cave all set up now. As you can see, I'm slowly working on a website. It's almost done. I put it on there because I got to work ahead because I get a little too busy and fall behind. So when that's up and running, I'll let you know and make sure you guys check it out. Oh man, we're already getting people dogging on Jimmy. Well, he's at a concert. He's probably sleeping there. So, but anyway, we're gonna have some fun tonight. Talk some Cowboys, get some stuff going. Again, be interactive. But there's been a lot of little news with the Cowboys. So I want to give a little share of my piece of my mind of where I see things going. First of all, Dak Prescott. We saw him working out. The picture went viral. He's looking lean. He's looking ready to go. Year off of that injury. He's got his team with him working out in Miami at the U. Any of you guys know that's my, second to my Cowboys is the U. So seeing him down in Miami working out with the receivers and the tight ends, that's just, that's what he's about. He's a leader. And you get a lot of this negativity. Someone messaged me a video about Colin, Cowherd, having the debate is Mayfield, better than Dak or vice versa. And you guys, you know how it is being Cowboys fans. They're always going to be looking to get that clickbait, to get the ratings, to get the things going. So they're always going to talk about the Cowboys in a negative way. And that's why we're Cowboys family. We got to stick together. And that's what I love about being a Cowboys fan my whole life. And being able to talk to you guys about it is something that I've enjoyed over the last few years. And it's just growing and growing. So, but Dak Prescott's ready. He's ready to roll. The team looks good. Can he take that next step? Because all the talking is done. All the talking is kind of where it's at. Can he get the job done? The stats are where they're at, but it's all about winning in the playoffs. And this year, that's all he's got to be focused on. All the other noise can go to the side because all that matters is got to win in the playoffs. If he doesn't win in the playoffs, the critics are going to still have their way. And right now they got the leg up because we just haven't had the success in the playoffs. And really thinking about the playoffs, there was always something, back in 94 when Jerry Jones, parted ways with Jimmy Johnson after the 93 season. And some say he signed a deal with the devil. He just said, just give me that one Super Bowl without Jimmy Johnson and I wouldn't ask for another one. And we got that Super Bowl, right, in 95. And if you look at the Cowboys, through the years past that, we've lost in some bad ways, some heartbreaking ways in the playoffs. Anything that can go wrong in the playoffs kind of went wrong. The only one I can ever think of where someone can say, well, you guys got the call your way is in that Lions playoff game with the, questionable pass interference wasn't called, this or that. So, but the Cowboys just seem to just find a way for things to go wrong in the playoffs. And that's the hump they got to get over. And, Dak's the leader. Dak's going to get it done. I got a lot of faith in him. I know, majority of Cowboys Nation has a lot of faith in him. You're always going to have your haters. So hopefully he's ready. He's right. The receiving core is going to be, a little bit different with Coop gone. You got Gallup coming off an injury, so these first, four, 4 or 5 games without Gallup, that's going to be a time for someone's got to step up, and who's it going to be? So let me just see. My man C Dog, what's up? Any chance you coming to Cali to training camp? I'd love to go. The problem is, man, it's all about timing and funds and the wallet. I got season tickets, and I'm going to 4 games, so I'm trying to sell my other 5. So if I get my other 5 tickets sold, I reinvest to get my butt over to Cali, because that's a bucket list for me, and for a lot of you guys know, with the Cowboys, being a fan my whole life, diehard fan, as you could tell with with the merch I've always had collected through the years. I've been fortunate to meet a lot of these players, growing up as a kid at different events and stuff like that. I got season tickets 3 years ago, so I checked that off the bucket list. Then the other thing I've never been to is a training camp, and I definitely want to hit up. So see back. I know the offer's there. I appreciate it. You've been hounding me, and I definitely need to get out there soon. So I appreciate it. But going back to Dak, just to kind of finish my thought, all the talking, all the negativity, all that stuff is done. It's his opportunity to shut the haters up, and the only way he's ever going to do it is success in the playoffs. So he lost Coop. Coop kind of came, if you guys remember, he came when the team was struggling. We got Coop, and we kind of took off that year and had a nice little run that was cut a little too short. But they've moved on. CD, is he going to have that breakout year? To me, he was the number 1 receiver when they drafted him. That's why they drafted him. He acts, his charisma and everything is breeds of a number 1 receiver. Coop, to me, I loved him. He was in my wall. I had to take him out of the cave when they traded him, because I can't have any players on other teams in the cave. That's my rule. But it just seemed to me, for whatever reason, when it was big games, Coop, big opportunities in games, Coop just kind of was on the sideline. Maybe it was coaching, maybe it was him. But, like Santana Moss said from the U, big time players step up in big games. And that's what I think CD is going to do that this year. He led the team in targets. He led the team in yards. I mean, he was the number 1 receiver in all aspects last year. I know I was reading something from Law Nation, because the one thing people hate on is the drops. They say he drops the ball too much, but there was a laundry list of players that had a hell of a lot more drops than him. So again, it's a narrative that a lot of people want to set. They're going to pick what they want. So the next one I'll go to that I want to talk about is Zeke. Heard Deion Sanders having blood clots and toe before I get to Zeke. Yeah, that is not good for prime time, and he's having, he's going through some rough times with his feet. Anyone's seen him? We used to joke about it when he played, and he used to joke about with his feet. But it's definitely sad to hear, and hopefully definitely prayers up for him. But with Zeke, typically what happens in Dallas when you get paid, that's when most of the fans turn on you. So he got paid. And I always say, I'll never talk about a guy's pay. If the owners want to pay him, the players should get everything that they can. I mean, all you got to do is look at Demaryius Thomas, look at some of these players and what they go through. Marion Barber, look what they go through after football. Long life isn't guaranteed. So they've got to get the opportunity to maximize their income. And unfortunately for running backs, the value for them is been depleted. So when you have an elite one and he has an opportunity to get paid, you can't really hate on him. Now, the team could have played hardball with him, but they didn't. They did pay him. He's been nothing but, a hard worker. He's done everything right. He rushed that ball hard. He got injured. That's the challenge. That's going to be with a running back. If you look at him early on in the season, I saw another stat that was put out there. He was averaging 21 carries a game in the first 5 games last year, 5.3 yards a carry. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more. Then he got, the torn, PCL. He got, and you just saw the production decline. Now, what I would say is I got to put a little blame on the coaching, because you had a healthy Tony Pollard there. You had the opportunity to give him a rest, to spell him a little bit more. And I know Zeke's a warrior and he wants to stay in, but Sometimes the coaches, that's what great players do. They don't want to come out of the game. You guys, those who are old enough to remember Ronnie Lott cut his finger off in the middle of a game because he wasn't coming out. So there, you got to sometimes kind of go ahead of them. You gotta stop them from themselves because they're not going to stop. And I think that's where we, the coaching staff's got to look in the mirror. And that was really evident in the playoff game. And I was there, and it just seemed like, Zeke didn't have it. We were moving. We scored that first touchdown with Pollard in there, and then you didn't see him much more after that. And I think that was a big mistake. I think in the playoffs, you got to go with the hot hand. You got to go with the healthy guy. Zeke was clearly not 100%, not 70%. He looked like he was maybe 50%. So hopefully a big bounce back year for him. Again, this may be the year to shut the haters up. I know we've been saying it for years, and unless we do it, it's never going to end. But I'd love to see Zeke getting 1,250 and 10 TDs. And, Pollard, I think he needs to get on the field more too. You can't give him 5 carries and expect magic, just like you couldn't give Zeke 8 carries and expect magic. They got to find a way to get them both on the field. Use Pollard as a receiver a little bit, maybe in the slot, especially with Gallup, not being there the first 4 games. That's going to be critical. And that leads me to what I believe my man C-Dog mentioned in the chat is, Dak's got to have a good start to the season. He typically does, but the team's got to start fast. And that's going to be hard because if you look at the schedule, we got the Bucks, we got the Rams, then we got the Giants, Washington. We got Bucks, Cincinnati. Then we got the Giants, Washington, Rams, and then at Philly. That's a tough 6-game stretch. And you're going to be out. You're going to be without one of your, number 2 receivers for probably 4 games, unless something happens. But I'd much rather err on the side of caution with Gallup and not bring him back too soon. So they're going to have to get off to a good start. What's a good start? Obviously, 6-0 is a great start. Would we be happy with 4-2? Would you be satisfied with 3-3? Because if you look at the next part of their schedule, then they're going to get, I don't want to call them layups, but you got the Bears and you got the Lions. You've got some, the Texans are mixed in there. So you've got some opportunity to rack up some wins. So it's, again, to C-Dog's point, start fast. And we typically, we do start off pretty well. And the NFL gods have done me a favor because there's nothing, we had to deal with Tampa in Tampa. Now they got to deal with us at AT&T. I'll be there. It's Brady's farewell tour. So, maybe Parsons will end that a little bit sooner for us and put an end to that. I do respect Brady, but hey, it's competition. And we need to put a hurting on him. We've never beat him. The Cowboys are like 0-6, 0-7 in career against Brady. We got to get one before he retires. And this is probably going to be our last shot. So we got to make it happen. So, my man, holding it down and so yes. Now that's a stadium, SoFi Stadium. That's one I want to go to, and that's another one teetering on my list of if there's a way I can get out there, because it was either that or the Packers game. Packers are another long-time bucket list to go to Lambeau Field. It'd be kind of cool to check that out as well. So hopefully you guys let me know. What do you think on the season? Do you think we can start off pretty good? It's a tough, it's a tough stretch. You're playing the 2 Super Bowl teams. You're playing the Bucks. It's gonna be a little dicey. They got some of those games at home, which obviously never hurt. LA, we know how they are. That's gonna be like a home game. So we will get some of these top teams at home. Philly, I got a lot to say on Philly, and we'll I might as well touch on it now because you get me going with Philly. The mouths that these fans have had, the mouths that these players have had, we have beat them senseless the last 3 years that I can remember. I think we beat them with Andy Dalton, embarrassed them when we were injury ridden, and they still couldn't get close. We still smoke them. So they got all this talent. Yeah, they got their what they want to call their dream team too. They're getting all these guys, but still starts at the quarterback. And I'll take Dak Prescott over Hurts all day, every day. And you're going to be dealing with Parsons. You're going to be dealing with Tank. You're going to be dealing with some boys. Diggs, he loves messing around with Philly. So I expect us to continue the dominance over Philly. And until they beat us, they need to shut their mouths because they got nothing to talk about because we slapped them around over and over and over. The only thing that pisses me off more is that the Sunday night game, we always, the last few years, have always had Philly, in Dallas, and now we got to go to Philly. So it ruins my plans because now the Sunday night game I got to go to is against the Colts, which that'll be nice because one of my buddies is a Colts fan. So I get to take him with me, and we can embarrass him right in front of his face and put him to rest. But anyway, I digress into what I want to talk about. So, Jimmy D, I don't know where Jimmy D. What are you laughing? Where's Jimmy D? Jimmy D's at a concert. But anyway, I believe we'll start good, but we'll have a nice 3 games in the end of the season to make a run. Yes, absolutely. I think for us finally. Sometimes in those years, if you remember, we always had that stacked schedule at the end. It looks a little bit easier. The one thing I will say, and I think this is something that hurt us last season, we got to play our best football in the end, and we got to be in a dogfight. And if you look at the NFL and you kind of watch these teams, the ones and we coasted because of our division was weaker and we beat the hell out of them. So we were going to win our division and we knew we were going to be the 4th seed. And really, if you look at the way the seedings went, that last week kind of shifted it. And we all thought we were going to be the 4th seed in it. So I don't know. We weren't playing our best football. I want to be in a dogfight. I'll be honest. I wouldn't care if we had to fight to the last week to win our division and get the 4th seed in the playoffs. I just want to see us fighting. And whatever seed we get, I'm fine with it. We need to be playing our best football at the end. And if at the end of last season, if you really watch it, I know we had the number 1 offense and some of the games got skewed by the blowout. And when Washington came to town, that was beautiful. I was there to see us drop 56 or something on them. That never gets old. But if you look at those other games, it was a struggle. We weren't playing our best football, and you've got to play your best football in the end. I mean, everyone. If you look at Cincinnati, what were they, 10-7? They started playing their best football at the end of the season, got hot, and they made their run. That's what we got to do. We can't take it easy. I'd love to. Everyone loves to go. 17-0, I guess it is now. I want to make sure that this team's fighting and it's got that hunger and it's got that dog in them. That's what we should get. So. Shout out to the Falcons. Oh my God. That's why thank God Jimmy's not here and I hear that shit about the Falcons because who the hell cares about them? I got 2 fans and he's one of them. They'll be lucky to win 3 games. We have this little bet for who people who are joining or new and they don't know Jimmy D. He's been a friend of mine since high school. We're good buds and we do a regular show on Monday at 7:00. And I got the beautiful wall. I got the, everything behind it, set up perfectly for the screen and for the Cowboys cave. And what does he come up with? An Archie Bunker chair and a blank wall. It's all disrespect to what I've got. So we made a deal for every win. He's got to put, some merch he has in the other room on the wall to show a little respect and, jazz it up a little bit. My only worry is he's a Falcons fan. So I'm not expecting more than maybe a pennant, maybe 1 8x10 on the wall, or they might get a couple wins. So it's going to be a long year for the Falcons. So this is the opportunity that I have to turn Jimmy into a Cowboys fan because it's, the story I always, would tell people is when I met my wife, she was a Redskins fan, formerly Redskins, I guess. But anyone who knows me knows that if you're not riding with Cowboys, that's pretty much the end of the line. You're going to have to go packing. There was one time I dated a girl. She tried to buy me a Bucks hat. Next thing you know, she was out the door. That's what happens. I don't mean to be mean, but anyone who knows me and anyone hangs with me for 5 minutes knows I'm a Cowboys fan. So in order for us to move on further in a relationship, she had to ditch the Washington hat. Then she slowly got the Emmitt Smith jersey. Then she got the Cowboys hat. She got everything. So it all rolled in perfectly. And we had a nice, happy marriage. 2 Cowboy fans. We have 2 kids, 2 Cowboy kids, right? And that's how Cowboy Nation rolls. We're family. We roll deep. We don't look to other sides. We can't have a divided house. At least I can't. Wouldn't be able to live. So anyway, I digress a little bit. But again, we're all talking Cowboy stuff. and wanting to have a good time. Jimmy's not gonna do nothing. Jimmy's gonna keep his mouth shut because I'm running this. I got the microphone tonight and he doesn't. So he will listen to every word I say. So anyway, talking more about the Cowboys training camp. And like my man Seaback, he's invited me out there, and I gotta get out there one of these years to really enjoy it. I wish they would do it in Dallas again. It's a little bit closer flight, easier for me to get to. I could probably sneak away for a few days, a lot easier. California, man, that east to west coast trip just kills me. So training camp concerns, quarterback, we can run through a quarterback, no concern. Receivers, I think it just comes back to Gallup. I'm telling you guys, watch Jalen Tolbert. I've said it before. A real good friend of mine's son, he plays at South Alabama. So obviously I watched a lot of South Alabama games, to support him. And, Jalen Tolbert always stood out. And he always stood out as a playmaker. And I used to ask my buddies, like, man, is that Jalen? Is he real deal? He was straight up. He said, man, he could go. He could have went to any D1 school. Like, he could have done a transfer, but he wanted to stay loyal to South Alabama because that's where he committed. That's where he's from, and that tells me a lot about his character too. Because you've got not to get too much on college, but college football is now really turned into professional football. You've got all these transfers. You got all this stuff going on, and we've got to it's just not the same. So to see a kid that could have went to Alabama, to Auburn, to one of those other schools that was begging for him, to see him go there, that says a lot about his character. And he's a hard worker. You can see from the workouts that he's doing. Dak's been in touch with him, so he's going to be a young kid who's going to progress quickly, and I think he's going to be able to be an impact immediately. And it's like Jimmy, don't tell me to shut my mouth. Anyway, he's going to be someone that can make an instant impact to the team. And if you watched any of the previous shows, what I talked about or tweets on Twitter, out of the draft, I needed to see 3 guys that can start. And if they're not starters, they're impact players that we can have this year. And I think we got it. We got Tyler Smith, who I know, some people were hating on it, but let's see him play a little bit, right? Let's see what happens before we start, critiquing some of these kids coming out of college. And then we got Jalen Tolbert, right? And then we got Sam from Ole Miss, the DN. And so we've got those are the 3 impact guys that I think they're going to have, that they're going to make an impact. So that's what I wanted to get out of the draft. That's what I believe we got. And that's the impact that we're going to get. And it's what we need. So depth is a concern. So where are the concerns on training camp? Linebackers. And now you say, hey, Mike, what do you need linebacker? You got Micah Parsons. He's the best linebacker in the NFL. Yes, he is. The problem is that we want to use him everywhere, right? We want him rushing the passer. We want him, we want Dan Quinn to utilize him any way he wants. So that means we've got to have some solid linebackers there where we can put him at a DN and we can move him around. So, LVE, Jabril Cox, they're coming off, LVE was healthy, but he's had a little history of injuries, but he's solid when he's healthy. Jabril Cox showed all those flashes early on and then unfortunately got an injury. So we've got some questions on depth at linebacker. We've got who's going to step up. So that's something in training camp I really want to keep an eye on. And then really offensive line. And I think we talked about it before. If the offensive line is healthy, I'm not worried about it. But being a Cowboys fan, all you guys know who are Cowboys fans, having a healthy line all year is not something that we've been accustomed to seeing over the past probably about 5, 6, 7 years. So that's going to be the key. And yes, I expect to see Smith get a lot of work during training camp to see how he's ready. If he's possible, work at right tackle. I think they're gonna have him at guard. I think they're gonna work him at guard, and then he'll be the heir apparent to Tyron Smith. There's so many T's. I'll probably misspeak at one point, call one Tyron and one Tyler, but that's what I think is going to happen. I think that's the long-term play for him, why they drafted him. So the question is what's behind him. And we did a we've been doing this. I've been doing this preview series of each kind of position level, and we touched the offensive line. So if you missed that, I cut them up into short bits, so you can always go back on YouTube and just watch that portion of it. But that's the question to me, is depth. We've lost some guys, also lost some penalties too, so that's not too bad. But if Tyron is he's not playing 17 games. If he is, oh my God, it's a miracle. It'd be great to see, but you're typically going to get 14, 13 games out of him. So what's going to happen in those other games? So that's going to be the question that we have. And back to the draft, just a quick shout out to Sea Dog. Absolutely. You don't look at the draft till 3 years down the road at least. And that's going to determine the draft. How many people laughed at us when we got Frederick, and then he ends up being, unfortunately, he had some illnesses, but he was a top center for 6 years, 7 years. So I don't really pay a lot of attention. I know there's a lot of draft gurus and there's a lot of experts and there's a lot of this, but there's so many variables that go in to these guys when they go from one level to the next. You've seen all the top stars that, fade away, personal issues. And then you wonder why a high percentage of this league, probably over 50% of this league, is undrafted free agents, and 5th, 6th, and 7th round draft picks make up the predominant, high percentage of the league. And that's because they've got a chip, some say they got a chip on the shoulder. They got more to prove. They didn't get handed a lot of money, so they're working for a contract. So there's so many variables and unknowns. It's a system. Dan Quinn's got a system. He can get his guys in the right system and make, average players great and great players Hall of Famers. That's what great coaching does as well. Obviously, the players got to have talent, but, going back to Brady, he was a 6th-round pick. If Brady was drafted by the Jaguars, do you think Brady would be Brady? Would he have all those Super Bowl rings? I think you got to get drafted in the right situations too. So there's so many things that go into it. I don't get all, bent out of shape. All I want to see is when they draft them, I'm all in. We'll see what happens, and I'm going to support them, and hopefully they'll escalate quickly and advance quickly into the system and be able to contribute immediately. So that's really, the concerns I have for training camp. Those are my two main ones. Again, running back, we're great. I think we're fine. Obviously, D-line, you got Fowler, you got Sand, you got Tank, you got all these guys. So I think we've got the horses and the men to get after the quarterback. Linebacker we touched on. Secondary, I'm going to get a little bit more in depth on that as we're gonna jump into our preview of the secondary. But that's really it. I don't know if I missed anything. If you guys have any concerns at training camp outside those positions, definitely leave a comment. Let me know. Definitely something to think about. So going into our next series, and that's talking about the secondary. And with Dallas through the years, I think we can all agree our Achilles heel for a long time has been our secondary. We got lit up a lot, in the past. And I think last year, what you saw from Diggs, he showed that he has the potential to be. I always hate to use the word shutdown corner because the only shutdown corner that I could ever think of is always going to be Deion Sanders. And if you ever watch Deion Sanders play, if you're fortunate enough to be in that era to see him play, it's just, he was unbelievable. I still haven't found anyone as good as Deion. Just the way he attacked it, the way he played possum, the way he set up, the way he took half the field away. People don't understand that. Yeah, he may not have the 100 interceptions or something, but he took half the field away. People would not throw the ball to him. The only success I've ever seen against Deion in college or pro is Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin, but he's a playmaker, so that's what he does. But he's the only one that I've seen that had some decent success against Prime. But so going back to Diggs, again, when you have success in Dallas, it's always going to bring hate. It's always going to bring all these guys coming out, and you can skew stats and you can make things kind of any way you want. But I've watched the games just like you guys. I never missed a snap, never missed a play. I don't see where he gave up over 1,000 yards that he was responsible for last season. I did see him get 11 picks, and 11 picks is change of possession and their impact plays, and that's what we need. Impact plays, and you saw the difference that made on the defense with Quinn is the impact plays on defensive turnovers. We haven't been able to get turnovers previously in the last several years. You get turnovers, you make things happen. He got 11 picks, and a lot of them were in key situations. And that's, having a knack to make the big play. Like I said, in big games, big time players make they step up. That's what he did. And, again, going back to the stats of 1,000, I look back to the New England game where we got the lead. And if you remember, they dropped the bomb, and, I think Diggs is going to get blamed for it. But if you watch it, the safety was not doing what he was supposed to do. So are you giving that 80 yards to Diggs? The only play, and my brother he'll love this. The only time I remember Diggs really getting beat bad was in Denver, or at the Denver game in Dallas, where he got, I forgot the receiver, but I mean, it was a no-name receiver, but I guess he might be decent. He hit him, and I think it was a double move and hit him deep, and they got a big touchdown out of it. That's really the only game that I can remember where you could say, all right, he didn't play his best game, but every other game he did what he needed. So we got our I'll call our number one corner. He's going to handle the other team's number one. He did it last season. You can look at the stats. I'm not going to spew him off, but Mike Evans didn't do much. The receiver from Washington, his name escapes me. He didn't do much. Eagles, you got no receivers. I don't even bother mentioning you guys. So he did what he needed to do in receivers to their top receivers. He kind of took them out of the game, or at least limited their success. So Diggs were good. The other side is where there's always can be a little concern. And that's, yes, the secondary in the past. Hopefully it's a little better. That's where you don't, Anthony Brown gets a lot of hate, and I give him a little hate too. Sometimes he frustrates me on some plays. But if you really look back, for a number 2 corner, he had a pretty solid year. But you're waiting to see if Kelvin Joseph was ever going to unseat him. And Kelvin Joseph got in the games a little bit near the end where there were some injuries and kind of blowouts and things like that. So he was able to play a little bit more. So he did see, we did see some success, but I don't know if it's enough to unseat AB. And again, yeah, he is solid. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes, but the problem is, if as a cornerback, it's a tough job. That's probably the worst position you can play in football because everything is blown up. You can shut a guy down all game, but if you give up one touchdown, then that's what SportsCenter shows. That's what's on the highlight reel. You could have played your, great game for 58 minutes. In 2 minutes, you let one loose, and that's the life of a cornerback, unfortunately. And that's why I think you see so many of them don't have the success. The high draft picks don't have the success because you got to constantly be able to deal with failure. And, I grew up in sales, so I've been doing it for a long time. Failure is normal. You get, when I was a young kid, I can tell you stories about trying to make sales calls back in the day, and people would cuss at me and tell me this and tell me that. And you'd get so many people hanging up and not wanting to see you and stuff. So, I equate that a little bit to a cornerback is you've got to be able to put that failure behind you. And I think that's the trouble with some of these guys is they just can't do it. And it consumes them. And once you're in a guy's head, I mean, Dion, that's pretty much what he did as a cornerback. He was able to get in a receiver's head. I mean, how many times, Andre Rison and Jerry Rice would try and fight him, and they'd be swinging because they were just frustrated because he could just get in their head. So anyway, I don't know. Kelvin Joseph, we're waiting to see if he'll unseat him. Obviously, he got into some issues in the offseason. Health is always going to be a concern because last year in training camp, he was a little nicked up. So he never really got a chance to get things going. He's got talent. So that's going to be something to watch to see if Joseph is going to get that opportunity. And if he gets that opportunity, I always say when you get that opportunity, you got to take it. You never let it go. And then the depth, Jordan Lewis, I mean, he's a third corner. He is what he is. Wright, he's The only thing I remember him is tipping the in the playoffs, and they ended up getting San Francisco the ball back. That was one of my examples of when things go wrong. He makes a great play, does what he needs to do, and it backfires, and they end up getting the ball back. On change of possession because it tipped his fingers. So those are the things, in the playoffs we talked about. The thing I'm probably maybe, most excited about is our safeties, because I think that's, if there's an area where Cowboys fans have been pretty upset, and rightfully so, is in our safety position. We haven't been solid there. You know, everyone, obviously you're going to bring up Darren Woodson, or you throw Roy Williams, Ken Hamlin. Though you're going way back when we actually had, not just one but shoot two safeties you can count on. So J-Ron Curse has proven himself last year. He was an integral part of that defense. So I'm liking what I got there. I'm glad they re-signed him. I thought it was important because I also think, going back to our linebacker depth, you could utilize him in some packages at the line of scrimmage. He's got that ability, and I think they did that some last year. And then you got Malik Hooker, who, yes, my man Seaback, he came off injuries. He came in before, and he did pretty solid, but he was coming off injury. So we hadn't seen the full Malik Hooker. You kind of saw it getting better. He was getting better as the season went on. So I think, that tandem is going to be solid. Now, depth, we've got a little bit of depth, right? Donovan Wilson, hard-hitting safety, old school kind of safety in our, in our era in the 90s and early 2000s and 80s, and, all that stuff. He's kind of that hard-hitting guy. And then you got Marquise Bell. So I'll be honest, I'm not really that familiar with him. I know there's been a lot of excitement around him. He's an undrafted guy. So then again, you got to say, well, why didn't someone draft him if he's so great? But I can give you obviously a million players that go undrafted that have, great careers, solid careers, and several had Hall of Fame careers. So it's going to be interesting to see this young guy. He's another one, a bigger safety that they can use at the line of scrimmage. If linebacker depth becomes an issue, they've got some versatility. So I think with our secondary, I'm good with it. I'd love to see someone step up, not necessarily have to take, someone's spot, but give us comfort to where oh God, I don't want to say it, knock on wood, if, something were to happen to one of our top corners, that we've got a guy that we've got confidence in that can step up and hold the fort down until things get healthy again. It's a long season. 17 games is just absolutely, that's a bear on these guys. And, the NFL is always preaching player safety, but it's odd how they extend the games, and they've got the Thursday games, and we got more overseas games, and we got all this kind of stuff. So just checking the chat line. Our D-line has to be solid to get some 3-and-outs. Seeing too many 9-10 play drives. Absolutely. I agree. And I think with our D-line, I think, we touched on it. We haven't done the D-line yet, so I won't talk too much about it, but I love our D tackles. I think we finally got some nastiness. And that's the thing, when you talk about the D line, I want a nasty D line, especially the D tackles. And, when Sue was a free agent before he went to Tampa, I was begging Dallas to get him, because I thought, I think we got some nastiness now, but I thought, a couple years ago, we just were a little, I never want to use the word soft in football, but we're, a little glam. We didn't have some nastiness to us. And I think with our D-line now, we've got some, Tank's always going to be nasty. We need more. And I think with Osa and the rest of the boys up on the line, we've got some nastiness. Micah Parsons, of course, he's always going to bring the nasty. So we've got some guys that are going to be leaders, some dogs that are going to hold people accountable. And I'm excited to see the defense. You get another year of Dan Quinn getting his system in there with his players. That's going to be, really exciting to see. What I need to see, on the offensive side, I need to see Kellen Moore be the offensive coordinator that everyone's hyped him up to be when he, when they gave him the job. And right now, that's, to me, on a coaching front, I know a lot of people, again, the easy target's always going to be McCarthy. I don't have an issue with McCarthy. I think he's a good coach. I think he runs a team well. I think the team plays for him. I think the leadership he has, he's got the ring. And they would say, oh, he got a ring with Aaron Rodgers. Well, how many does Aaron Rodgers have? He's got one, and he got it with that coach. So that remains to be seen. But that team that he took to the Super Bowl, that was a fine, another example of, they had to battle every week the last, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks, to get a playoff spot. They went in there, I think they were 10-6, and they went in there and they got on a hot run in the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. It's not always the best team wins the Super Bowl. It's the hot team at the right time will win the Super Bowl. So that's my concern, from a coaching front, is I really need to see Kellen Moore step up as a play caller. He's got the creativity. I love that, they do the splash plays, but I need to see some attacking, and I need to see also what's been talked about with Dak. Should he be running? I don't think we want to do design runs with Dak. I think if he sees the opportunity, take the 5 yards and slide. Take the 7 yards and slide. Don't take the hits. But I think there was some times last season, it could be the injury. He wasn't feeling, 100% confident, but there was times where he could have ran to move the chains, get down, live for another 4 downs. And I think he held the ball sometimes too long, trying to make something happen through the air. And I think sometimes you just got to take what the defense gives you, work your way down the field, and attack when you need to. So that's pretty much what I have with the Cowboys. If you've got, any other questions, definitely let me know. But yeah, I just want to take a few minutes. Obviously, I started this channel. You guys know I did the hype videos. It's something I always, I love doing. I'm passionate about the Cowboys. So, that has given me a great opportunity to really hang with Cowboys Nation. As growing up in Florida, I was a lone Cowboy fan around until they started winning. And then obviously all the bandwagons jumped in. But, I was a kid in school still wearing my Cowboys, jacket to school when they were 3-13, all those, those years. Forget the 1-15. Go back further when they were 3-13, since like 86. They had all those bad years in a row until finally the 90s. So I bleed blue. I'm passionate. Hopefully you guys see the passion that I have. I love hanging with Cowboys Nation. I think if you saw, the intro that I had, that's all me. I love being with the fans and hanging with them and throwing some back. And I've been very fortunate, in my life to reach some of these goals, to be able to have season tickets and see them play. I never miss an opportunity. I used to only be able to see them play in Florida, but going to AT&T, I probably sell AT&T Stadium more than Jerry does, because it's such a great atmosphere. I know the fans aren't as crazy. It's not the dog pound of the back in the day, but just the awe you have going into the stadium, just the feel of it. I've yet to see a stadium that's better. Maybe, SoFi, maybe, Vegas is finally topped it. I don't know. When I get out there, I have a biased opinion, so it may be a little skewed. But I started this YouTube channel because I really love interacting. And I love talking Cowboys. Again, I've said it before. I'm a fan. I'm going to be a little, homer sometimes, but I'll keep it real too. But I'm not a guy that's going to dissect film and go all crazy. There's great content creators that do that. Obviously Jay Tuck's a friend of mine, and I love his show. So he's great at it. Law Nation's great at it. Nick's is great at it. I'm probably leaving people out. West Coast Cowboy, all those guys, they do a phenomenal job breaking down film. What I'm going to bring to you guys, I'm going to bring you passion. I'm going to bring you real. I'm going to bring you Cowboys, and I'm going to bring some fun and some hype. So I also started the cowboyscave.com. It's not up yet. So, don't go moving around. But again, that's an opportunity that we're going to have to interact with the fans, show off some Cowboys caves. As you can see, this is a lifelong passion. I've always been a collector and gatherer of things. And I do sometimes like to share the wealth. And I've got so much stuff that I love to sometimes surprise a fan and send them something out. So again, we're going to have spots where I want to see your Cowboys caves. I want to see what you guys got set up, and it'll be a great interactive thing, for us to do as well. So I don't have a whole lot else. I'm just let me just check the chats one more. I appreciate it. See back, Troy Aikman, rookie year. I got mad for being a Cowboys fan. Let me see. And wearing all the Cowboys stuff. Yes. Yeah. Oh, you got made fun of. Yeah. My eyes got to get a little better. Yes. And the funny thing is, when Troy Aikman was a rookie, I used to write all the players' letters as a kid, and I got his autograph on my '89 score rookie, and I ended up sending to a bunch of times. And all those guys used to sign, way back when, through the mail, and you still can get lucky when they're rookies sometimes. But yeah, that was my Troy Aikman. The other story I'll share is, again, the passion I had. So when Jerry Jones bought the team, it was '89. So that would have put me at 14 years old. And they hired Jimmy Johnson. Now, Jimmy Johnson came from Miami. So I was a Miami fan, but I wasn't as big a Miami fan. I got bigger as the years went on, as I got older and started going to more games at the Orange Bowl. But I was a huge Cowboys fan. And I remember writing Jerry Jones a letter when they fired Tom Landry, because Tom Landry was, obviously, you guys know, the only coach we had. He was just, he was the Cowboys. That was it. And so I remember writing this letter to Jerry Jones, and I just blasted him. I said, Jimmy Johnson's not going to carry Tom Landry's jock. You're a disgrace. You put a legend out there, and the only memory you have is him putting up boxes, putting stuff in boxes and walking out of his office. I mean, I was in the paper in South Florida. I mean, we really didn't have the internet, so you couldn't see all that stuff then. And he never wrote me back. But, when they won that Super Bowl in '92, I kind of just, I'll forget I said that. Just kind of move on. So just so many great stories that I could probably talk for 4 hours about the Cowboys, but we want to keep it limited and keep it entertaining. Plus, I need some stuff, for the season. So make sure, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I have and it's not here, but I have a very special Micah Parsons. If those of you guys have watched, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. Once we hit our 1,000th subscriber, I'm going to do a live giveaway. It's a signed picture of Micah Parsons. He put Defensive Rookie of the Year on it. It's kind of a cool, you hadn't seen it. It's like he's holding his arms out, and it's that black, background with the color. So it's like a black and white, but it's a color. So he stands out. It's a badass, piece. And if we don't get to 1,000 at a certain time, I might end up keeping it, but I got my jersey over that side. So we'll see what happens. But, so definitely, if you hadn't subscribed, do it, because when the season starts, obviously, I'm going to be dropping the hype videos on Twitter. I also put them on here. I'll be putting them on the website too. I do cameos. So any of you guys need hype videos, I'm always there. If you need birthday shout outs, it's amazing. I've probably done 100 of them so far, and I have so much fun doing it. And it's like I tell people, you get the exact experience. When I do the hype videos, your cameos are the exact same thing. I take a lot of pride. And if someone is wanting me to do something and they're paying their hard-earned money to do it, I'm going to make sure I deliver exactly what they need, if not even better. Hopefully I've exceeded all the expectations. I've gotten great reviews and great feedback from them. So it's always a cool thing. So I have probably talked a little too long. I appreciate interacting with everyone. The season is getting close. We're going to be talking about the linebackers on the next week's episode. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, share. I want to get these phones working, because I'm going to want to figure out how I can talk to you guys, because that's the ultimate thing. But hopefully I see you guys at AT&T this season. I've told you the games. Obviously, you got to go see the Bucs opening day. Going to be going to Chicago. My boy Jimmy D is going to be joining me there. We're going to be going to Washington. I always got to go to that one because I enjoy slapping them around the field. And then anytime they play primetime, I got to hit that one. So that's going to be the Colts. I'm making the road trip up to Jacksonville to check them out there. So hopefully, I've got a pretty good winning percentage. It's not 100% because we slipped up in San Francisco and we laid an egg with Denver. So I got a little catching up to do to get that winning percentage back over 900. So I hope to see you guys there. I really do appreciate you guys, coming on, watching the show. Make sure you spread the word, like, subscribe, share. I will see you later. coming from Cowboys Nation. This is my getaway. You guys have a good evening.